Today, I'm in the West Australian gold mining town of Kalgoorlie. I explore its history, its beauty, and some of its quirky landmarks. Hi, welcome to another video. Today I'm in the old gold mining towns of Kalgoorlie and Boulder in Western Australia. Kalgoorlie used to be a frontier town, but these days it's a bit more sophisticated. It's best known for a hole in the ground. A bloody great hole in the ground. But what a hole. This is known as the Kalgoorlie Super Pit. It is one of the largest gold mines in the entire world, and this is one of the largest holes in Australia. More than 60 million ounces of gold, I don't know how many billions of dollars worth that is, has come out of here, and they still work it. Photos and videos just don't do it justice. It is such a large hole. I believe if you wanted to fill it with water, it would take 2 Sydney harbours. But then here in Kalgoorlie, everything's big. Like this scooper, and these tyres, and this tip-tuck tray. The super pit is free to just come up and have a look. And it's well worth having a look. In the bush, just a few kilometres north of Kalgoorlie, is a throwback to an old era. It's Australia's only legalised 2-up school. Two-up is a game of tossing up coins and gambling on whether they land as 2 heads or 2 tails. And it was a really popular gambling game among the miners, and then later among soldiers in World War I and World War II.
We need more than hopes and wishes for us to make it through the night. Stormy weather, weary eyes, hope to make it through the night. Before this night is over, I will guide you home. All this time you thought we'd never pay the price. In the game of love, you have to roll the dice. My heart got 7 years to life.
And after hundreds of years, this shed is still in use. Every Sunday afternoon, they actually have legalised 2-up games here. Kalgoorlie for a long time was a bit of a frontier town. These days it's not quite as much. There's about 30,000 people live here. And gold was first discovered here in 1893 by an Irishman called Paddy Hannon. And this is the fella who started it all. Back in 1893, Irishman Paddy Hannon here and a couple of mates wandered up to this area and discovered gold. And that started the gold rush. Little did they know that more than 60 million ounces of gold would be taken out of the pits here. And because Kalgoorlie was such a rich town, it sprung up pretty quickly, and there's some beautiful heritage buildings both here in town and in its twin town Boulder just up the road, with no shortage of pubs. I think there's something like 14 pubs here in the main street. They're gorgeous old buildings, I'm really loving it. Some of them are modern down below, but if you look up, you can still see some of the original signs.
Still rolling the dice, still hoping to find a future for me. I'm still in this fight. I pray for the night to go easy on me. You keep blowing me out, I keep holding you in. I keep asking myself, oh, why do you still hurt? Why do you still hurt? Why do you still?
The Palace Hotel is one of the grander hotels here in Kalgoorlie, and there's a famous name associated with this hotel. Did you know that a former USA president had a strong connection to Kalgoorlie? Herbert Hoover was a young mining engineer, and he came here to Kalgoorlie in 1897. He did pretty well and moved on to other mining exploits in other countries, and eventually returned to the US, where he was very wealthy and became president of the US. During his time in Kalgoorlie, he would often stay here at the Palace Hotel, and he enjoyed it so much that once he was wealthy, he gifted this mirror to the hotel. Story has it he fancied one of the barmaids here and wrote her a poem. Do you ever dream, my sweetheart, of a twilight long ago on a park in old Kalgoorlie where the bougainvilleas grow? It goes on like that. He wasn't a great poet, but he turned out to be president of the USA. So that's the story of Herbert Hoover and his connection with Kalgoorlie. There's another famous landmark here in Kalgoorlie, and I've got to keep this G-rated, so let's just say it's a place where people come, usually men, to play games and have fun with other people, usually women. It's a sort of unique play centre for grown-ups. This whole street of Hay Street used to be filled with these play centres, but this is the only one left, and apparently they're claiming that it's the oldest play centre in Australia. These little cubicles here in the old days were filled with women who would try and, you know, invite the gentleman in for, I don't know, a game of backgammon or something. If you're interested in finding out what it's like inside, they actually offer tours at 3 o'clock every day. I think it's $30 for the tour for adults. It's got to be adults. Something that is much more family friendly is the Museum of the Goldfields. At the Museum of the Goldfields, they have old buildings which just give you an idea of what it would have been like in the goldfields in the old days, when Kalgoorlie was a little town. I'm not sure if it's replica buildings or original buildings, but it shows you a little bit of how the goldfields would have looked back in the 1800s. Here's the bank. No, they're real. They're not replicas. This is a miner's cottage from around about 1933. A guess the miners lived in whatever they could find, including things like this old railway carriage. The museum has cottages, offices, even an old pub, and best of all, entrance is free. And there's also an art gallery here with some beautiful local Indigenous paintings.
You can make
If you go up this thingamabob, whatever it is, you actually get a pretty good view of the town of Kalgoorlie. It's a nice little museum with little things that'll show you what life was like back in the old days in the Goldfields. It's free and it's very kid friendly. Just up the road from Kalgoorlie, a couple of kilometres, is its twin town of Boulder. This is a really charming little town. I think I even prefer it. The main street still looks a little bit like it's stuck in the 1890s.
It's not safe to be on your own. It's so far from home. As long as I cannot hear a sound, I lay it in the ground. Oh, it's all pretend. So don't you worry now, don't you worry now, all this soon will end.
I love all these old turn-of-the-century buildings. It makes me feel like in some way I'm back at the turn of the century. Maybe I should have a cowboy hat instead of a beanie. I've come into the town hall at Boulder. I love these old country town halls. They're beautiful, and this one doesn't disappoint.
Floating, weightless, undersea, diving, conscious.
What a beautiful old theatre. Oh my goodness. I love these places. This town hall has a famous curtain, an old stage curtain by Philip Gocher. There's a little picture of it here, but there's a sign that says, because of weather conditions, they can't lower it. It's very delicate. That's a shame. I'll just have to show you a photo of it. Boulder's a little bit like Kalgoorlie's little brother or something. But I may be wrong, but I'm sure I heard somewhere that they actually extracted more gold out of Boulder than they did in Kalgoorlie. Let me know in the comments if that was right or wrong. In fact, there were so many mines in this area, you're never quite sure when you're building something, what you're building it on. This hotel behind me, the old Metropole, which I believe is closed now, there's actually a mine shaft in the front bar. They discovered it probably about 10 years ago. It's a unique looking place, but it's definitely seen better days, and these days it's shut permanently. Well, it's been interesting coming to Kalgoorlie and Boulder and having a look at the old mining history here in a fairly remote part of Australia. I've enjoyed myself. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.